For the 653rd time, it's Fung and Block hanging out with each other. I told these guys they probably ought to go out for a shot and a beer or 20 and then you know, put this whole thing to bed by the time it's over in at least that kind of final way. They have seen each other a lot during this campaign, and they're going to see each other one more time here tonight, and then, you know, the balance with, I think there's a couple more debates that they have. In the meantime, yes, Allan Fung, the good mayor of Cranston, and Ken Block, the good businessman who says he wants to fix Rhode Island, are here. Let me show you the latest data we have from the WPRI Providence Journal poll. For governor, it is the Democrats with Gina Raimondo leading 32-27 over Angel Tavares, and Clay Pell coming like a horse around the fourth turn and heading for home. However, ladies and gentlemen, we don't have a poll for the Republicans. You guys are running the unpollable race. Ken, welcome. Allan, welcome. Good to see you again. Does that
nice
bother
to
you?
be here.
Does it bother you guys that you don't make the cut when it comes to major media?
It's a
polling
pollable race. We both polled it, so it's not an impossible race to poll. It'd be nice if the media polled our race as well.
But you know what it says, though, that we really have to keep an eye on? Building up the Republican Party. You know, we've been sitting over there now for over a decade trying to make sure that we've got good candidates at local, state, and federal level. We've got to keep doing it, because until we grow that base with not only elected officials, but people that are part of those city and town committees, so that we have more of a representative voice, that's what's going to be needed.
Well, you know, on that, I've editorialized on a number of occasions on both radio and television. I think this year, the Republican Party, while the party's substantive foundation is still negligible, fledgling, there are some blue chip candidates across the Republican
Fantastic
line.
candidates.
Each one of you, I think, has the capability of competing and/or winning the general election. And then you go to Lieutenant Governor with Catherine Taylor, who is formidable. Yeah. You go to Dawson Hodgson, who's an Attorney General candidate, who is formidable. Even this guy, Colin Valley, who might be sneaky good. He's got no money, but he's really a smart guy running for Secretary of State. Not a bad pickings for the Republicans this time around. So, I don't know. Do you think this primary has helped the future of the Republican Party, the way the contest has gone so far? Yes, no?
Well, it's a spirited debate, and I feel that it's going to get us ready, you know, as candidates for that general election. Because take a look, the Democrats are swinging away. They're spending oodles of money out there, and it's part of the democratic process that we all have to go through.
All right, now look, we had popcorn. Did you guys get popcorn?
I was offered, but no thank
I
you.
was thinking just having some and watching you guys kick living daylights out of each other and just have a good time this afternoon. So if it happens that way, it's okay. I'll just sit back and we'll do this. But look, identifying where the themes are in this race. You're Fix Rhode Island.
Yeah.
You're business-friendly Rhode Island.
Yes.
Open for business Rhode
Yes.
Island. All right, so Fix Rhode Island, how, why?
We have the nation's least friendly business climate for business. It's really hard to fix one of the worst unemployment rates in the country if you're not an appealing place for businesses to do business. To fix that problem, we have to lower the taxes that make us uncompetitive from a business perspective. We have to deal with the rules and regulations that negatively impact the formation or continuation of business. And we also have to address the problem of inept/corrupt government. We have to deal with the problem where we've had a Speaker of the House whose home and office was invaded. We've got the chairman of the Democratic Party who had to resign with the mix-up down at the beach. The state police run the Cranston Police Department. We need to make sure that we clean up government, because as important as it is to have structurally sound bridges, we need to have structurally sound government as well.
Right. Well, the Cranston Police Department thing you stuck in there can be a separate conversation, but I was going to ask you to react to Fix Rhode Island, and then you react to Open for Business Rhode Island ideas. So react to his thoughts on Fix Rhode Island.
Yeah, and it needs a leader, myself, who has the real record of real results, real reforms that I can show. I can lead Ken and yourself to all the different things we've done in Cranston to make it more open for business. I'm proud of the fact that we helped during my first 2 terms. I'm in my 3rd term now, but first 2 terms to add and create an environment where over 1,000 new jobs have been created in the private sector. And that is what needs to be done throughout the state. You know, working with a lot of business owners. We're going to be announcing soon enough another company, a medical science company that's up on the western side, is doing a close to $4 million expansion and adding close to another 125 jobs. That doesn't happen if they don't have trust in the chief executive. We've done a lot to stabilize our city's finances, a bond rating, positive outlook.
Well, I wanted to give you a chance to establish that platform, Mayor, but I was going to ask you to respond to his theory of what needs to be fixed. Do you agree with him that things need to be fixed?
Oh, agree.
You do.
And
the things that he wants to fix, excerpting, I'm sure, the Cranston Police Department stuff. You agree with him about that?
No, I agree with a lot of the things about the reforms that are needed for Rhode Island, because first and foremost, people need confidence in government. They've got the confidence in Cranston, in the administration, and what we're doing to partner with them. That has to happen at the state level too, and it's not going to happen if we keep hearing FBI raiding this.
So if you agree
office.
that we need to fix Rhode Island, and that's his theme, do you think he could fix Rhode Island if you're not elected?
I think he lacks a lot of the leadership qualities from the public sector side, because as we know, and as I've experienced over my decade worth of public service, it's different than just the private sector. This is where it's so unique with having both the public sector and private sector experience that I bring to the table to lead during this time of urgency.
All right, so you've got a good idea to fix Rhode Island, but you don't got the goods.
Well, you know, it's interesting because Governor Schneider in Michigan has done a fantastic job coming directly from the tech sector as a CEO directly to the governorship of Michigan, and he's largely turned the state around. Governor Reagan came not from government and became the governor of California and did a fantastic job while he was there. So there's plenty of examples of executives with the acumen, the knowledge, the experience to successfully run government. In fact, it's a little bit of a slap in the face to business owners to suggest that they don't have the skills necessary to be successful in government.
But what they don't have an understanding is how weak the governor's office is. And you're playing by a different set of rules here in Rhode Island versus, I'm sure, some of the other states that have it. And this is why that experience counts. You know, dealing with binding arbitration and some of those adverse decisions, dealing with employee issues and the contracts that tie management's hands in so many different ways. This is why having an executive that has an understanding of what local officials also need, pushing for some of the reforms at all levels, not just at the state level, but pushing for those reforms that I did when I was president of the League of Cities and Towns, and leading some of those efforts on battling for reforming our pension system. You know, OPEB's another big looming liability that's coming down. If you don't have the foresight and know how to operate within that type of system, you're going to be at a severe disadvantage.
We'll get to some of their platforms when we come back. OPEB, by the way, is other post-employment benefits, meaning health insurance in addition to pensions. When we come back, some of their commercials, where they're nice. Stay with us. All right, welcome back in. So, you know, there's been some nice advertising in the political season this year. Well, let's run a couple of ads, each from the candidates, Allan Fung and Ken Block, and then let them elaborate on what these ads and what these platforms mean. Here's Allan's ad.
My parents came to America for opportunity. They found it in Rhode Island. They opened a restaurant, and before I could reach the counter, I worked alongside them. I became mayor of Cranston, where I froze taxes for 3 years, saved millions reforming public pensions, and helped create 1,000 jobs. I'll do the same as governor. Stopping the perks, the powerful, the payoffs, challenging the old way of doing business, making Rhode Island open for business once again.
Conservative reformer Allan Fung.
You get the theme there. We'll let Allan elaborate. But here's the 3-2-1er from Ken.
Hi, I'm Ken Block. I'm running for governor, and I'm going door to door telling folks about my plan to reform Rhode Island. It's called 3-2-1. For every $3 in spending cuts, 2 go toward tax cuts, and 1 toward fixing our broken state budget. I've identified hundreds of millions of dollars in waste that we'll use to cut corporate and personal taxes, to create new jobs and provide tax relief. 3-2-1, because together we can fix Rhode Island.
All right, so elaborate. Talk to me about what you're trying to say there and what the general message is. He's got a catchy phrase. You don't necessarily.
Well, I think the Open for Business tagline is really resonating with people because it's what it's all about. People are concerned about jobs and the economy. And everywhere I go, the number one and only concern that any people are, how am I going to get back to work? How am I going to put food on the table? And I was just trying to elaborate on who I am, native Rhode Islander that grew up hardworking, middle class, family that went to school, had some real results, real reforms of what we did, significant accomplishments as mayor of Cranston. And those same type of accomplishments, from the pension reforms, 1,000 new jobs, 3 years without a property tax increase, are the same type of initiatives that I'm going to push as governor, with the different plan of cutting taxes.
Reaction to his thoughts on his own ad first?
Just a little bit on records, because I think it's really important. You're running on your record that we talk about the record just to make sure we have it all worked out right. The first 3 years you were mayor, you did raise taxes substantially, right? Several times in excess of what the state allowed. You had to ask for variances, correct? So what I'm saying is 50% of the time you were mayor, you raised taxes. So that's a piece of your record that you don't typically relate to people.
Well, can I respond?
Sure.
Yeah. I think what Ken takes out of context is, too, he's never inherited the crisis, the fiscal crisis. He's in public service, and I think that's why it's lacking, because if you remember, Dan, I inherited a $1.5 million structural deficit from the last administration, on top of not one, the mid-year cuts when I first got into office, 2 multi-millions, but then successive years of multi-million-dollar cuts. I think in total was close to $20 million to Cranston alone. That's a big chunk out of the budget.
What was he supposed to do with that structural deficit?
With a structural deficit, you need to adjust, cut, and make sure that you're protecting taxpayer dollars as best you can.
Do you ever see a situation where, with the continuous running deficits the state of Rhode Island has, that you'll ever have to jack a tax?
I don't believe in Rhode Island, for the state level, that with an $8.7 billion budget, that we need to raise taxes to erase the structural deficits that are coming at us.
You think the same?
No, absolutely. I'm actually proposing that $200 million tax reduction plan, which would make us one of the most competitive in the Northeast, to send a message to business owners. But what you have to do, though, is, because everything, as we all know, flows downward. And this is what happened in Cranston, which Ken doesn't have a full understanding about our budgets. During that time, it wasn't tax raises as a first option. That's all I did. Take a look at all the different initiatives I've done, the innovation I've brought in, consolidation. We've done a lot of different things, working with cities and towns to consolidate on healthcare, on pension reform,
All right,
everything
so elaborate on your 3-2-1, because I want to make this equitably timetable fair.
We're going to find $1 billion of savings. We're going to, for every $3 of that billion that we find, $2 goes back to taxpayers. $1 is used to help ease and reduce and eliminate the structural deficit that we have. So what I'm saying is 2/3 of $1 billion goes back to taxpayers, 1/3 of $1 billion is used to reduce our structural deficit.
Your reaction to that?
No, and it's not even just my reaction. It's former Governor Almond who called it a bogus $1 billion plan, because remember, he's talking about both $1 billion in and outside the budget. And I've already called him out on his one part of that plan that talks about unemployment insurance. What Ken is talking about is shifting those costs to seasonal employees, raising their taxes for an industry that has helped support our economy. On temporary disability reform that he's talked about, I'd even go further. When have you ever seen government, the state, local government, do anything more efficiently than private sector? I'd rather have, like the majority of the states, get rid of the TDI program that we have and let the private sector handle it. These are things that could have more resonating effects that help many of the employers. But a lot of that, when he's talking about $1 billion out of the budget, it's not realistic, and the governor has already said that.
Yeah. Well, I didn't say $1 billion out of the budget. I said 1/3 of $1 billion out of the budget. 1/3 of $1 billion comes back with temporary disability insurance reform that the governor's office can make. The eradication of the program is something you have to get through the General Assembly. Good luck with that. On unemployment insurance, there's no more Republican idea than to have the abusers and heavy users of the program pay their fair share. What happens in unemployment insurance right now is that 30,000 plus employers who don't overuse and abuse unemployment are paying for the small number of employers, under 1,500, who do. There's no more Republican idea than to ask those who are overusing and excessively using the system to pay their fair share.
But then, Ken, you don't understand the principle of insurance, because what you're proposing is to shift all of those taxes onto those small business owners. In the hospitality, tourism industry, construction, farming, any of those seasonal businesses are going to get crushed. They can't afford it because the principles of insurance are about sharing of risk. It's not about just paying unilaterally.
And this is crucially important. This is crucially important. It's insurance. When the same people are laid off at the same time of year every year, year after year after year after year, I argue it's no longer insurance. And what you're asking businesses to do who don't do that is to subsidize the payroll operations of those who do. Why should 30,000 businesses in Rhode Island subsidize the seasonal employers?
But Ken, like I said yesterday, I've said before, what you really have to do is focus on the fraud on those individuals. We heard yesterday at Hospitality Association, the question was, those individuals that are on the unemployment say, oh, pay me under the table. That's the stuff we got to go after. Go after the employees, not shifting and raising taxes on the employers. They're a key part of our industry that are supporting us during these difficult times.
So if 7/8 of employers get much more money in their bank accounts, that's a tax savings.
You're going to have to shift. And basically what you're saying is if you're going to have that much savings on those people, you're going to crush that small portion and put it out of business. Many restaurants, many hotels that rely on tourists, many farms that are here, as well as the construction people. That's not the way to do it, Ken. Focus and reform the employees that are abusing the system.
I think you'll find most large businesses, most small businesses would much prefer my solution than yours.
I loved that conversation, didn't you? It was about a substantive issue and a disagreement. What a relief. Stay with us. We were just lamenting during the break that I was just saying it was so nice to have a good old-fashioned policy discussion. What did you say, Ken? You came to a debate?
Came to a fight and a debate broke out.
Came to a fight and a debate broke out. That's, well, we'll see if we can reverse that trend. Not on purpose, but you never know what's going to happen here. So, I was going to run some negative ads, but we don't have time. It seems to me that the weapon of choice you've had in this campaign is putting Obama on him, and he's not a good Republican. The weapon of choice you've had, I guess, is amongst the many would be the Cranston Police Department management. Those would be the two formidable weapons. So weaponize. Are you still on this Obama thing with him?
Yes, because Republicans deserve to know about Ken and that he's an opportunist, and that support for the president, not once but twice, really resonates with many Republicans and irks them because he's the one that started the moderate party and then gave us Lincoln Chafee. When you take a look at all of his records, supported.
Did you start the moderate party to give us Lincoln Chafee? Is that what you did?
Exactly what I did. That was my whole plan, the whole way through.
Is that what he did? He started the moderate party to give us Lincoln Chafee?
Well, he did give us Lincoln Chafee. That's the fact. So
well, that's your interpretation of how the numbers rolled out, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And so does many Republicans.
I'm not going to find on Wikipedia he started the moderate party and Horn was Governor Chafee. And your thing has been the Cranston Police Department.
Yeah, look.
Let me just put up a headline. This is just so everybody knows. Police captain sued alleges harassment. This is Captain Pat Alano is the latest who's suing. Of course, we have the parking ticket blitz, which we've talked about with both of these guys ad infinitum, and then the mayor's response, calling it outrageous. Your discussions overall with Cranston PD have been
this race, and what this state needs right now, it has to be about leadership. It has to be about somebody to lead us out of the mess that we're in, to enunciate a clear vision and execute it. And the problem with the police scandal is that on multiple different levels, it shows us that the mayor doesn't have the management chops necessary to be the governor. The mismanagement of the police, the fact that the state police still run the Cranston Police Department, the $5 million lawsuit that names the mayor individually as well as the police department in the city for mismanagement, gross mismanagement, civil rights violations. And these are all things that the mayor owns because he was the public service director. These are horrible problems to take with you and make the claim that you're an excellent manager.
Do you find it queasy, as I do, that 3 weeks before a primary election, this lawsuit is levied? I'm not suggesting there's any conspiracy politically, but it seems to me that despite what arguments I might even have with the mayor about how that thing was managed, 3 weeks in front of a campaign, here comes the lawsuit naming him in almost a RICO conspiracy, for crying out loud. Fairly heavy-handed, don't you think?
It's heavy.
Heavy-handed.
Heavy-handed.
Do you feel like you were coerced with this lawsuit?
I'm not sure coerced is the right word.
Well,
I can feel that the timing is surely suspect.
A form of blackmail in the sense, like settle this lawsuit, it'll go away, it's election time type of thing?
And I said, when the claim first came to light, and I said yesterday about it, I am not going to let the taxpayers of Cranston be treated like an ATM.
But did you make an offer to Captain Padalano to go away?
The city made an offer to him. I can't discuss it because we're in litigation.
In the millions of dollars, I'm guessing.
No.
No?
No.
Less
No,
than
no.
7 figures?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So there was a number that you thought he deserved to go
to
away.
get rid, because what was happening is just like with many lawsuits, there are always going to be defense costs and the nuisance value of the case. So I can't get into all the facts. It'll come out later, but I stand by my statement that it's an outrageous, frivolous lawsuit. The allegations in them, and this is where Ken's leadership I question, because he's taken a little bit of the facts, not knowing the other side of the story. I wish I could tell more of the story, because remember, this evolved out of a Bill of Rights, and that Bill of Rights I can't stand because of the lack of transparency with it and why we need reform with it. But because of it, I can't talk about it.
Tell me what-
I'm sorry, important question. Do you agree that the state police should have reinstated Padalano? Were they wrong to reinstate him?
I'm not going to answer because he doesn't know the facts of the case, and I can't talk about it, so my hands are tied.
Well, I think you already commented on that you thought he should have his gig back, right?
No. What I can't get into the facts of the case of what happened. I can outline the facts.
Well, you're trying
but
to
I'm not going
prosecute
to
a
try
case here.
Right.
We're not going to hear any more about Nazis, are we, in this campaign?
What's that?
Nazis. We're not going to hear the word Nazi anymore in this campaign.
You got to ask
are we?
Ken's supporters.
With a Facebook post, some knucklehead who supports you makes a Nazi reference to some people who support him. This stupid thing was on Facebook. We're not going to hear any more about this, are we?
I got 10,000 Facebook supporters. I can't control what they do in their private lives. As a Jew, I find the Nazi statement reprehensible.
You're not. You
Wait
put
a
out
minute. He's more than just a Facebook supporter, Ken. Come on, let's call it. You've paid him on your expenses. He's donated to your campaign. He was in your commercial. He was also, getting, signatures for you. He's
so you're
more
gonna,
than
so,
just the.
so we're going to hear more about this from you?
No, it's
Is
not.
it-
But let's call a spade, and
I'm
let's
asking,
accurately
is it
depict
over?
this. As far as I'm concerned, if Ken accepts responsibility and denounces what his supporter, what his volunteer has said, I'll be okay with it. That's the acknowledgement.
We leave it open, unfortunately. Guys, thanks. Good luck in the campaign. Right back. They went a little long. I got to go. Good night.